Alrighty. So today we are going to just start in our child's pose. So butts will sit back all the way by our heels. Arms will come out in front of us. Fingers are wide. We can close our eyes. Take a few deep breaths here. Really connect with that breath so that it can help us throughout our whole practice. One more breath here, inhaling really, really deeply. Feel that tummy press into our thighs as we fill up our lungs. And then exhale. Our shoulders soften a little bit further. Our hips sink down toward our heels. And when we're ready, we'll just walk our hands over to one side, reaching across our body with that opposite arm, keeping the hips settling down toward those heels. And then slowly keep that chest low, and we'll walk our hands around to the other side. And then one more time, let's walk around over to the other side, reaching across the body. Take a breath here. And then we'll lower the shoulder down to our mats. I went right, so my left shoulder comes to the mat. Our butts will lift up away from the heels a little bit, and then we'll lift up the right hand up to the sky. Little spinal twist here. And then we'll slowly come back. We'll unwind, find ourselves in the center in our child's pose. Take one breath here. And then we'll walk our hands over to the other side. And then we can lower the shoulder down to the mat. And lift up the opposite hand. And then slowly unwinding again, finding ourselves in our child's pose. Hands are out in front of us, butts are low. Open up those fingers, press each little digit into our mat, and then inhale. Let's come up to a little plank. And then we'll slowly lower ourselves down as we exhale. Hands are underneath of our shoulders as we inhale, coming up to a little cobra, pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart. And then we'll press back to our child's pose on the exhale. Let's do that a few times. So we'll inhale up. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our little cobra. And then press back, child's pose. Moving through this half series on our own pace as we breathe and move with purpose. Inhale up to our little plank. Exhale down. Inhale to a little back bend. Press back to our child's pose. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up. Nice long spine. Exhale, we lower down. And then we'll meet in child's pose on an exhale. We'll keep those hands out in front of us. We'll tuck the toes underneath of our butts. Let's open up those arches a little bit. And when we're ready, keeping those hands and feet exactly where they are, we'll just lift those hips up and back away from our wrists. Pedal the feet. And wiggle our way into a downward facing dog. Good. Let's inhale forward into plank. Plank can be on our toes or on our knees. Inhale forward, and then exhale, we'll press back to our downward facing dog. Good. Inhale forward to our plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale forward, plank. Good, strong plank. And then exhale, pressing back, downward facing dog. Lift those hips. And then we'll take the right leg up behind us. Toes are pointing down to our mat. And we'll bend that knee, bring it into our chest, slowly stepping forward in between our hands. And then we'll step with the left and find ourselves into a forward fold here. We can hang, slightly bend in the knees. Wiggle our fingers, maybe stretch out our wrists if we need. And then bending the knees even deeper, rounding in the spine, rolling our way up. Hands come up to the sky. And then exhale, let's bring those knees and thighs together, big circles with the arms as we sit down into our chair. And then inhale, we come up. Good. Exhale, sitting down into our chair. Inhaling up. Good. Exhaling one more time. Let's sit down into our chair. And inhale, nice and high. Good. Exhale, soften the knees, hinge at the hips. We'll just slowly fold forward. Inhale, let's come to a flat back. Long legs here, hands can come to our thighs, to our shins, maybe to our mats. And then exhale, we fold. We'll step back with that left foot into a lunge. Good, and then we'll step with the right to downward facing dog. Inhale forward into our plank. And now this time, exhale, we'll lower ourselves down. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. As we inhale, we can come up to a cobra or to an upward facing dog. Hips are coming forward, chests are forward and up. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips, pressing back to downward facing dog. Let's lift up the right leg. And we'll step forward into our lunge again. Good. Let's lift up that right hand for a twist, lengthening that left leg behind us, bending the right knee right next to us. And then we'll lower that right hand back down. Find our balance. Inhale, hands come up high for a high lunge. Exhaling, hands come back down. We'll step forward with the left leg into our forward fold. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. Softening the knees, rounding as we rise. All the way up to the top with those fingers. Exhale, knees and thighs together, sitting down into our chair. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling nice and high. Good. Exhaling. One more chair. Inhaling up. And then exhale, softening the knees, hinging at the hips. We'll swan dive down to our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. And we'll step back with that right leg into our lunge. Give us a little wiggle here if we need. And then we'll step back with the left, downward facing dog. Inhale forward to our plank. Exhale down. Inhale to our choice of back bend. We'll tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back on that exhale to downward facing dog. Lifting up the left leg. Bring the knee into the chest and stepping forward into our lunge again. Good. Left hand comes up. And then we'll lower back down, finding our balance. Inhale, high lunge. Good. Exhaling back down. Stepping forward with that right foot into our forward fold. Inhale to our half lift. Exhale, we fold. Rounding as we rise all the way up to the top here. Let's exhale, little back bend. We can come to cactus arms, opening up that heart. Hips come forward. Inhaling back up to the top. And now exhale, let's sit down into that chair. Let's think about our chair here for a little bit. Hands can come up above our head if we would like. If that's tough on our shoulders, we can bend the elbows for Evita, or hands come together at our heart. We're pulling the shoulders away from the ears, and we're tucking that tail ever so slightly to keep that low back flat with the rest of our spine. Sitting low, lifting the heart. Good, inhale, nice and tall. And now exhale, let's sit down into that chair again. Bringing those arms back behind us. Hands coming up. Good, inhaling up. And now exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, we fold, stepping back with that right foot to our lunge. Good, stepping back with the left, downward facing dog. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale to our cobra or upward facing dog. And tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back to our downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg. From here, let's kick ourselves in the bum. Open up the hip to the left. But now let's try and turn those shoulders so that they're parallel with our mat. So we get a little bit more of a twist in the spine here. Good. And then back to our three-legged dog. Leg comes right back behind us. And now we'll step forward in between those hands and come up for a high lunge. Good. Now from here, this back leg is going to just make a little teeny tiny hop to shorten our stance just a little bit so we can set ourselves up for warrior one. Lower that right heel down to the mat. Pull the right hip forward so both hips are facing right out in front of us. Hands come up to the sky. Again, we can come back to Evita arms if that's tough on our shoulders to go above our head. Bending that left knee. Tucking the tail. All of these things happen in many, many places in our yoga. Good, and now let's lean forward, bringing our hands and chest over that left knee, still pressing into that right heel. And then inhale back up. Good, exhale, leaning forward. Now let's transfer the weight into that left foot. Begin to lift the right for warrior three. Beautiful, lowering that right foot back down. We'll just come to a high lunge here. We can lift up that right heel. Hands can come down to our mat, stepping forward into a forward fold. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. Rounding as we rise. Up to the top. Beautiful. Exhale, cactus arms, little back bend here. Inhaling up. Exhale, let's sit down into that chair. We'll hold chair for a few breaths. Think about being active all around our torso here. For strong chairs. And now let's bring those arms back behind us as if we're going really fast. Hands come back up. Good. Inhale, nice and high. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. Let's take that left foot back for our lunge. And we'll step back with the right for downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck those toes. Lift the hips. Press back, downward facing dog. And now let's lift up that right leg. And we'll kick ourselves in the bum, open up the hips, and then turn those shoulders back to parallel with the ground. We can even peek underneath that left elbow. And then slowly coming back to our three-legged dog. And then ultimately to our lunge. Inhale to our high lunge. Good. Little tiny hop forward with that left foot so we can find ourselves in warrior one, lowering the left heel, turning the hips forward, bending that right knee. Still active here. And then as we exhale, let's lean forward, reaching our hands above our head. Chest is hovering over the thigh. Good. Inhale back up. Good. Exhale, leaning forward. I gotta move. Leaning forward. Then we'll transfer that weight into the right foot so that we can lift the left for warrior three. Good. Lowering back down to our high lunge. Hands can come down. We'll step forward into our fold. Again, high half lift here. Nice long back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Bending the knees, rounding as we rise up to the top. Good. And once again, let's sit down into that chair. Good. Inhale high. Exhale. Let's bring those hands out in front of us, sitting down into that chair. Bring the hands to our hearts, pressing into the palms. Let's take this right elbow around to the left knee. And slowly we'll unwind, sitting into that chair. And then exhale, fold forward, straight from that chair. Half lift. Lengthen in that spine so that as we fold forward again, maybe we get a little bit deeper in that fold. We'll step back with the left foot. Find our lunge. Inhale, high lunge. Good. Exhale, hands come down. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Flowing through our vinyasa, inhaling forward. Exhale, we lower down. We're getting so strong doing all these vinyasas. Inhale to an upward facing dog. Tucking the toes. Downward facing dog, moving at whatever pace we need. If it's faster or slower than what I'm doing, that's totally fine. Good, let's lift up that right leg. And we'll step forward into our lunge again. High lunge. Good. From this high lunge, let's lean forward, much like we did earlier. And inhaling high. Good. Again, exhaling. Hands come forward. Shifting the weight. Warrior 3. Oh, I ran out of space. Moving as slowly as we need to keep that balance. And now we're going to challenge ourselves. Let's slowly tip ourselves back up. Bring that left knee into our chest. Good. Hands can come to our hearts. Let's sit down into the chair, crossing the left foot over the right knee. Ooh, very wobbly. Beautiful. Inhale. Let's come back up. And we'll step back for our high lunge again. Exhale, hands come down. We'll step forward into our fold. Flat back, long legs on the inhale. Exhale, we fold again. Rounding as we rise up to the top. Good. Exhale, let's sit down into that chair. Good, strong chair here. Inhaling high. Good. Exhaling, sitting down into that chair. Hands come to our hearts. Pressing into those palms, pulling the shoulders back, tucking that tail. Let's take the left elbow around to that right knee. Good. Slowly back to our chair, and then exhale all the way to fold, straight from our chair. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, fold. We'll step back with the right foot. And all the way up to our high lunge here. Exhaling down. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Let's flow through our vinyasa. Inhaling forward. Exhaling down. We're all getting tired. We're doing our best to stay the course. Tucking the toes, pressing back for down dog. Good, let's lift up that left foot. And we'll step forward into our lunge again, finding that high lunge. Good, and we'll lean forward, bringing that chest over the thigh. Good, inhale, back up to the top. One more time, this time, taking care, find that balance up into our warrior three. Whew. Good, and then tilting our way back up, bringing that right knee with us. Good, hands can come to our hearts. We'll cross that right foot over the left as we sit down into our chair here. Beautiful. Inhale, back up. And we'll step all the way back to our high lunge. Hands can come down. Step forward into our fold. And let's just hang. We'll take several breaths here. Good. And then from here, we'll bring the hands down to the mat. We'll walk our feet heel, toe, out a little bit wider than our hips. Toes point to the corners of our mat. And we'll just lower those bums down toward our heels. Hands can come to our hearts for a Malasana Squat here. Good, and then we can lower those hands down in front of us or behind us, and we'll help ourselves down to our butts, bringing those knees in to our chests here. Roll ourselves up into a tiny ball for just a breath or two. And then the hands can come behind the thighs. We'll pull the shoulders back. We'll lift the heart. Nice, strong, straight spine here. We begin to lift the feet and toes up off of our mat. And we'll work our way into boat. We can lift the feet up a little bit higher, however high we want. We can continue to touch behind the thighs, or we can release them and reach forward toward those toes. Good, and slowly we'll lower those feet down. And come back up, give ourselves a bit of a wiggle in the back if we need. We'll go to round 2 of 3. Excuse me. When we're ready, we'll tilt back, lift the feet, and find whatever version of boat we are in today. Lifting the heart, pulling those shoulders back. Slowly we'll lower down. Give ourselves a wiggle if we need. And then when we're ready, let's squeeze those legs together, tilt our way back, keeping that back nice and straight behind us. Chests are lifting. And we come back into our version of boat today. Breathing deeply. Good. Let's challenge ourselves a little bit. We'll come down to half boat. So we will extend those legs out in front of us. Shoulders will go back. We begin to lean. And then inhale, we come back up. That is really hard. So it's okay that it's a struggle. And now one more time, half boat. Lengthening those legs, pulling the shoulders back. And then we'll release all the way down to the mat. We can bring those knees into our chest. Good. And now let's release those knees. We can keep them up in front of us. We'll relax those arms and shoulders. And then as we exhale, we'll take the knees over to the left. And the gaze can go over our right shoulder. Then we'll inhale, come back to the center. And then when we're ready, exhaling the knees over to the right. And our gaze can go over the left shoulder. And then when we're ready, we'll come back to the center. We'll hold those knees tightly into our body. We'll tuck our chin into our little egg. And then we'll release the legs. We'll open the knees wide and we'll place the soles of our feet together. And we'll lower those legs down to our mats. Now we have the choice of bringing those feet nice and close to our body or maybe a little further away. Whatever it's supposed to, it's designed to be relatively easy on our body. So you find where we're at today. Hands can come to our hips if we'd like to feel what's going on there, or they can come down to our sides. Use that breath. Help your body become less guarded. Give it the A-OK to just surrender to gravity. Let those knees fall naturally down toward the earth. Now, if you feel happy here, you can stay here for your Shavasana. If you would like, you can scoot those feet a little bit further away, or we can release them completely. Legs can go out long in front of us. We close our eyes. We soften into our mats. And give us some time to just be still. And when it is time, begin to deepen our breath. We'll bring gentle movement into our fingers and our toes. Become aware of our body again. We listen to what it is asking for. Give it that wiggle or stretch that it's asking for. And then we'll roll up into our ball. We'll rock over onto our side. We'll help ourselves up to seated. Our eyes are closed. Bodies are soft. And inhaling through our nose, lifting our hands up to the sky. Big deep inhale. Bringing the hands together at our hearts, exhaling from our mouths, a big hot sigh of a breath. Hands come to our hearts. I thank you so much for joining me, for allowing me to help you through your practice. I admire your dedication to yourself and wish you all the successes in creating that connection with your body, to creating your goals and meeting them. I wish you a very, very happy day, a fantastic rest of your week. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.